What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Fearless Nick YouTube channel, and in today's video I'll be going through 6 AFL teams that I believe could surpass their expectations and surprise many people in 2023. Now, we all know every year there's always one team in the AFL that always makes a massive comeback from the year before and makes the top 8, sometimes even top 4. Collingwood. So I thought today I would go through 6 AFL teams that I think could potentially be, the next Collingwood and, jump up, maybe make finals or at least contend and improve on their 2022 AFL season. If you guys go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, share and subscribe. The footy season is not too far away, so soon the videos are going to start pumping out again. I'm trying to get back into the school routine, so that's why I haven't really been uploading the last week. So yeah, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below if you are new to the channel and you've been enjoying the content. Every sub means the world. I'm trying to get 400 subs by Gab around, so if you could hit the big red subscribe button down below, that would be absolutely amazing. But anyways, without any further ado, let's get stuck in it. The first team I want to mention in this video is Port Adelaide. Now, obviously we all know with Port Adelaide last year, they had a season to forget almost last year. They had one of the worst starts to a season that you could possibly have, starting 0-5. They did somewhat recover in a sense last year, towards the back end of the season, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough, and they missed the finals after finishing top 2 in 2021. But I definitely think there is enough talent for Port Adelaide to bounce back in 2023. I think their time is now. They obviously had one of the best trade periods of any team in 2022, picking up Jason Horne-Francis and Junior Rioli, 2 players who I think are going to be very important for Port Adelaide long term. Look, this could be a bold call, but I think Port Adelaide could almost make the top 4 if they get everything right. That includes injuries, that includes team chemistry, and Ken Hinkley getting the boys ready for a big 2023 season. But the reason I think Port Adelaide could shock many in 2023 is mainly due to the fact that they've got such a young list, which means they can contend for a long period of time if they get their game plan right. I think, they've got one of the younger lists in the comp. They're getting younger by the year. I'm not entirely sure that there'll be a premiership contender, Port Adelaide, next year, but I definitely expect them to bounce back and make the finals next year. And also, we know there's always one team who jumps from outside the top 8 into the top 4. So Port Adelaide, they could be that team. I'm hearing them and maybe Carlton as the team who could jump into the top 4 next year. If they can jump back into the top 4, Port Adelaide, then wow, I will be shocked. But they are definitely an exciting young team and a team to watch next year, as I think they could be a smoky for the top 4 next year, assuming injuries don't rock them at the start of the year like last year. But yeah, Port Adelaide is the first team on my list. The second team I want to talk about in this video for teams who could bounce back dramatically in 2023 is Essendon. Now, obviously Essendon, much like Port Adelaide, they drastically dropped off from season 2021. The Bombers ended up finishing 15th in 2022. Definitely a disappointing year and an underwhelming year for Bombers fans, but I definitely think there is light at the end of the tunnel for the Bombers. I still firmly believe that they have enough talent on their list to contend for finals. I feel like a good example would probably be the Blues last year. Even though they didn't make the finals, they definitely took a step in the right direction and were very, very close to making the 8. Probably should have in the end. I feel like if Essendon can repeat what Carlton did last year, then I think they're definitely back on the right track and could potentially push for a flag long term. But yeah, I definitely think, like I said, there is enough talent on Essendon's list. I think their game plan might need a bit of changing. Obviously, now under Brad Scott, that probably will change. And I definitely think Essendon could be that team who could jump back up almost into the top 8 contention. Like I said, I don't think they'll make the 8, but if they can at least get close to finals, like the 9th or 10th mark, then I think that will be a massive win for Brad Scott and the Bombers in season 2023. But I do think the Bombers, they are a smoky to be one of those teams who exceeds everyone's expectations and will surprise many in 2023. The third team I want to mention in this video for teams who could surprise many in 2023 is actually the team who went very, very close to winning a flag, I've got the Sydney Swans. I think you know where I'm coming from with this one. I think Sydney had an unbelievable year in 2022. Obviously made the grand final, but then got smashed. And from what I've seen, there's quite a few people writing off Sydney this year, saying, oh, they're gonna cop the grand final curse or whatever. You know, their players, they're gonna drop off just like the Dogs, like the Crows, like the Giants. But yeah, me personally on the Swans, I think putting the Swans in like 11th or 12th is way too harsh. I think they're probably closer to around the 6th to maybe 9th mark, I think. But yeah, I just don't see the Swans dropping off next year. If anything, I see them bouncing back almost to top 4 again next year. But I don't think they'll come back completely the same team. I don't think they'll be able to recover like nothing happened. But yeah, they're definitely not going to drop out of the 8. Like if they finish 12th, I will be absolutely shocked. But the reason I put them on this list, the Swans, is I actually do think they will bounce back pretty hard. Maybe not top 4, but I think, you know, they'll still be around the mark for, you know, that premiership, but maybe not quite where they were last year. They are just such an exciting team, Sydney. They've got so much upside. Guys like Logan McDonald, Errol Goulden, Isaac Heaney, Tom Papley, Buddy's playing for another year, Sam Reid. They've just got so much talent all across the board. I think the Swans will definitely take a lot of learnings out of the grand final, and then they'll just forget about it and just move on to this season. I don't think they'll be back to their absolute best, but I think they will still be around the mark, and I think they will surprise a lot of people this year, that they don't actually fall off and they still are in the contention for the flag. I don't think they'll win the flag, but they're definitely still going to be in contention for the flag. They're a very successful and well-run footy club, the Sydney Swans, and I have massive respect for them. And yeah, I think the Swans will surprise a lot of people next year, just due to the fact that I don't think they're going to drop off from the grand final last year. I think they're just going to continue just playing the footy that they are good at playing. Maybe not make top 4, but they're still going to be at least in contention for the 8. They're not going to completely drop away. The fourth team I've got on my list for teams who could shock many in 2023. Now, this is a huge call. Now, I know I'm going outlandish with this call, and a lot of people will probably think, oh, you're an idiot. The fourth team I've got on my list for teams who could shock many in 2023 is North Melbourne. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, and I can't even believe I'm saying it, to be honest, but I think North Melbourne will surprise a lot of people next year on how much more competitive they will be in 2023. Now, we obviously know in 2022 they won about 2 games. They were almost non-competitive in almost all their games. Most weeks, North Melbourne, they would turn up and just be uncompetitive, would just get smashed, and they'd almost be a free buy for most teams. When you look at North Melbourne's team, yes, they are young and they're a bit inexperienced. They're still a bit raw as a team. But I think if Clarko can get the most out of players like Nick Larkey, like Jai Simpkin, like Davies Uniacke, like Goldstein, like Zerha, then North Melbourne might actually become a decent side that competes week in, week out. And I think that's what we want to see as footy fans. We want to see the team who was the worst side in the comp last year improve. And I think it's about time North Melbourne got off the bottom, don't you? Because they've been stuck there for way too long, North Melbourne. They've been stuck there for 2 years straight. So they probably will finish around the 14th to 16th mark, but I think if they can just be a competitive side, and maybe they won't win every week, but if they can be competitive, then I think they will shock a lot of people next year on how much they've improved. But yeah, North Melbourne, keep a lookout for them. They could improve in some areas next year, North Melbourne. I think Clarko is going to get the best out of a lot of players at the Roos next year. The fifth team I've got on my list for teams who could shock a lot of people in 2023 is another team sort of closer towards the bottom of the ladder last year. I've got the Adelaide Crows. Now, the Crows, arguably one of the more exciting young teams in the comp right now. They're obviously, coming along nicely as a young group. Obviously, as a young team, you want to show a lot of improvement and a lot of excitement as well. And I think the Crows are doing that perfectly. They're building really well under Matthew Nicks. The likes of Sam Berry, Ned McHenry, Jordan Dawson, Rory Laird. They've added Isaac Rankin. Josh Rochelle is coming along. They're tracking along nicely, the Crows. And I think maybe not next year, but the years to come, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think this year will be the start of those years. I think the Crows will finally start to shoot up the ladder more so next year. The last couple of years, they've sort of been going up maybe 1 or 2 spots on the ladder. But next year, I expect them to jump at least 2 spots next year. That's a big call. I think they finished 14th last year. I expect them to probably be around the middle of the table, between 10th and maybe 13th. The Crows, again, they're a bit like Essendon, but a bit like Sydney as well. They've got a lot of upside as a young team, so they could be competitive for a number of years. But like Essendon, I think they've got enough talent to maybe push for the finals next year. Now, again, I don't think Adelaide will make the finals next year. But again, if they can just be competitive and around the mark for finals next year, that is a massive win for Crows fans and players and Matthew Nicks. I think they can build from there. Now, again, I expect them to be around the mark for finals. I think they've got the team to do it. I listed the players earlier like Laird, Dawson, Rankin, Taylor Walker as well, Riley Philthorpe, Josh Rochelle, Jordan Butts even as well. I think the team is there for Adelaide. They just got to make it click. And I think they're going to shock a lot of people next year on how much closer they get to making finals next year. And I think the time is almost upon Adelaide to make the finals. But yeah, I can definitely see the Crows being a team who could shock a lot of people next year and could surpass many people's expectations. And now the sixth and final team I want to mention in today's video for teams who could shock many in 2023 on how much they improve from the season that has just gone by in 2022 is a team who has sort of been in a similar boat to the Swans over recent seasons. The team I want to mention here is the Western Bulldogs. Now, obviously, the Dogs, like I said, they've been in a similar boat to Sydney. They've experienced the grand final smashing and then haven't quite come back the same team the year before. They didn't have the best trade period, losing Josh Dunkley and Lockie Hunter, 2 quality, midfielders, especially Josh Dunkley, arguably one of the best midfielders in the comp. But for me, the Dogs, I think, are being heavily underrated this season. Now, I did mention this in one of my expectations for 2023 video, that I actually believe that the Dogs are a finals smoky. Now, again, a lot of people are writing the Dogs off, saying, that their game plan just isn't working. They've lost a lot of talent. Yes, that has been the case. That was the case last year. But, the additions of Rory Lobb, Sam Darcy's coming along well. Aaron Norton can just keep on developing. But I definitely think they're going to be around the mark for finals next year, and in a way shock a lot of people next year, because a lot of people, I saw even people putting them as low as 14th. I can't remember whose video it was, but I'm pretty sure I saw someone put the Dogs 14th, which is ridiculous. That will not happen, I can tell you that. The Dogs are a way better side than a 14th ranked side, but I have massive raps on the Dogs this year. I think they will definitely be a talented team. They've still got a talented team, like I said. Aaron Norton, one of the best forwards in the league on his day. Cody Waitman, he's one of my absolute favourites. I love him. He is a great young small forward. Now, I think it's going to be crucial for guys like Bont and Libba to find their form back next year. You know, those guys were pretty much carrying the team last year. But I think it's important for guys like Treloar, English, Norton, Rory Lobb's going to have a big impact. Sam Darcy, if he can continue developing. Jamara's coming along. There's plenty of upside for the Dogs in season 2023, and I just think they are not a team to be slept on, the Dogs. That does sound a bit weird, but yeah, I definitely think the Dogs are a smoky for the top 8, maybe not the top 4, but I could definitely see the Dogs finishing as high as maybe 7th or 6th at the absolute highest. But yeah, like I said, I think the Dogs are going to be a good team next year, and I think they're definitely going to shock some people next year. But yeah, the Dogs are the last team I want to mention in this video as a team who I don't think people should be sleeping on. I think they should be a team in most people's top 8, or at least close to the top 8. But yeah, the Dogs are the last team I want to mention in today's video as a team who could shock many in 2023. So there we go, guys. That was me going through 6 AFL teams that I could see being the big surprise packet of season 2023. Like I said, this does often happen most seasons. You know, there's always 1 or 2 teams that jump up a little bit higher than what people suspect. So yeah, comment down below the team who you think is going to be that surprise packet of 2023. It might not be one of these 6 teams. It could be, you know, maybe a Gold Coast or a St Kilda maybe. I could definitely see one of those teams also being that team as well. There's definitely going to be one in season 2023, so I'd like to know down in the comments who you think it's going to be. Yeah, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I do post mostly footy content on this channel, and I'm trying to do it as regularly as possible. Yeah, the footy season's coming up, so yeah, the content will start popping out once the season kicks off. I will be releasing a video on my tipping comp for season 2023. That should be out soon as well. But yeah, hit the big red subscribe button if you are new to the channel, and if you enjoy my content, give it a like as well. Share with a mate. It really means a lot. And yeah, I'm trying to hit 400 subs by Gavaran, so every sub is most appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and yeah, I will see you in my next video. Cheers!